Did you know that the breakfast you have been eating for years, the one you truly believed was healthy, could be the exact reason your blood sugar won't come down? I'm not talking about something complicated or hard to find. I'm talking about that simple, humble food sitting in your refrigerator right now. Used the wrong way, it can send your blood sugar through the roof. But used the right way, it can become one of the most powerful tools you have to keep your numbers under control. Today, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about eggs and diabetes. Because there is a truth, a big truth, that nobody has told you, and it is affecting your numbers every single morning without you even realizing it. I know exactly how you feel. You take care of yourself. You try to eat right. You follow the advice they gave you, but your numbers stay stubborn. They won't come down the way you want. And that is exhausting. That wears you out. It makes you feel like your body just isn't responding no matter what you do. But what I'm going to show you today can completely change that story. Because the problem, most of the time, is not your body. The problem is the information you were given. And wrong information does quiet damage every single day. I'm Dr. Adrian Cole, health and wellness educator. If you want to receive tips like these every week, subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell so you never miss a thing. Everything I share here is designed for you, so you can make smarter decisions about your health with real information, updated information. Subscribe now. It only takes 2 seconds. And stay until the end, because what is coming later in this video can literally change your numbers starting tomorrow morning. There is something I need to explain before we talk about eggs. Because without understanding this first, the rest won't make sense. When you have diabetes, your body has difficulty processing carbohydrates. You already know that. But what you may not have been told is that not all foods affect your blood sugar the same way. Some foods don't raise it at all, and some actually help the other foods you eat affect it less. Protein is one of those secret allies. When you eat quality protein together with carbohydrates, something fascinating happens inside your body. The protein acts like a natural brake. It slows down the speed at which the sugar from those carbohydrates enters your blood. Instead of that sudden rush that leaves your blood sugar at 200 1 hour later, what you get is a slower, more controlled rise. One that your body can handle without so much stress. And eggs are one of the most complete, most accessible sources of protein that exist. 2 whole eggs give you approximately 12 grams of high-quality protein, with all the amino acids your body needs and cannot make on its own. And the glycemic index of an egg is 0, absolute 0. An egg by itself does not move your blood sugar even 1 single point. But combined correctly, it can help everything else you eat not spike it so much either. And here is what nobody tells you. This is what I find truly eye-opening. Many people with diabetes avoid eggs because they are afraid of cholesterol. They have gone months, even years, without eating them, thinking they were doing themselves a favor. And all that time, their blood sugar stayed high, their energy stayed low, and sometimes their cholesterol actually got worse. Because what they put in place of eggs for breakfast wasn't something better. It was something worse. It was toast. It was instant oatmeal. It was fruit juice. It was boxed cereal. All simple carbohydrates that turn into sugar fast, with nothing to slow them down, because there is no protein riding alongside. And that is exactly what happened to one of my most memorable patients. I remember her clearly. Ms. Dorothy came to my office about 10 months ago. She was 64 years old. She had been living with type 2 diabetes for 8 years. She walked in carrying a folder full of lab results she had been collecting for years. She sat down across from me, and before I said a single word, she started to cry softly, not with panic, with that deep tiredness of someone who has been fighting for a very long time and doesn't know what else to do. "Dr. Cole," she said, wiping her eyes, "I have done everything they told me. I gave up eggs almost 2 years ago because my previous doctor told me cholesterol was dangerous for my heart. I switched to oatmeal every morning with fruit and natural juice because they told me it was the healthiest choice. I take my medications without skipping a single one. I walk 3 times a week. And still, my fasting blood sugar stays between 155 and 175 every single morning. My A1C is 8.2%, and my cholesterol didn't go down. It went up. I am doing everything right and nothing is working." When she described her breakfast in detail, I understood everything immediately. Instant oatmeal with honey and a ripe banana, plus a glass of fresh squeezed orange juice. That breakfast, as healthy as it sounds, was a massive load of fast-absorbing carbohydrates with almost no protein to slow them down. Her blood sugar was spiking to 210 or 220 every morning, just 30 minutes after eating. And because there was no protein keeping her satisfied, by 10 in the morning, she was already hungry, already reaching for a snack. Her body never had a moment of calm. Her pancreas never got a break. Blood sugar up, down, all day long like a never-ending roller coaster. I explained very carefully what the most recent science says about eggs and cholesterol, because the information she had been given was outdated and it was causing her real harm. Scientific research over the past several years has shown consistently that, for most people, the cholesterol in the food you eat is not the main cause of the cholesterol in your blood. Your liver produces cholesterol on its own, and what affects it most is not eggs. It's refined sugars and trans fats. In fact, studies published in serious medical journals have found that eating whole eggs can actually improve your cholesterol profile. They can help raise your HDL, the good cholesterol, the one that protects your heart. And they can shift LDL particles from the small, dense type, which is the problematic kind, to a larger, lighter type, which is far less harmful. I proposed a very specific change for Dorothy. Nothing radical, nothing complicated, just replacing that breakfast that was spiking her blood sugar every morning with one built on real protein. I explained how to prepare eggs correctly, what to pair them with, and how many to eat. 2 weeks later, she called me. Her voice was completely different from that first visit. Dr. Cole, my blood sugar after breakfast is 140, not 210, 140. I can't believe it. I tested 3 days in a row just to be sure. At 1 month, her fasting blood sugar had dropped from 165 to 142. At 3 months, her A1C came down from 8.2% to 7.5%. Her LDL cholesterol, the number that had worried her so much, came down too. And she told me something that stayed with me. Dr. Cole, for the first time in years, I wake up actually looking forward to breakfast. Because I know what I'm about to eat is going to help me, not punish me 2 hours later. Now let's get into the practical part. This is exactly what you need to know so you can experience that too. The first thing I want you to understand about how many eggs you can eat is this. We need to erase that fear you may still be carrying. For most people with diabetes who do not have severe kidney conditions or other specific contraindications, eating 2 to 3 whole eggs per day is completely safe and actually beneficial. I said whole eggs because the yolk matters. It matters a lot. For decades, we were taught to throw away the yolk and eat only the white. That advice was based on information that modern science has since updated completely. The yolk is where the majority of the egg's nutrients live. It contains choline, which is essential for fat metabolism in your liver. And when you have diabetes, your liver needs all the support it can get. It contains vitamin D, which multiple studies suggest can help improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level, meaning your cells respond better to the insulin your pancreas produces. It contains lutein and zeaxanthin, 2 compounds that protect your eyes from the damage that chronically high blood sugar can cause. And if there is one thing a person with diabetes needs to protect, it is their eyes. It also contains B vitamins that support your nervous system, helping prevent that tingling in your feet and hands that so many people with diabetes start to notice over the years. Do not throw away the yolk. Eat the whole egg. The benefits are right there inside. And here is what is truly important and powerful. It changes everything. It's not just how many eggs you eat. It's how you prepare them. Because you can have the best food in the world and completely destroy its benefits by preparing it the wrong way. And unfortunately, the way most people prepare their eggs is exactly the way that does the most damage to their numbers. Frying them in a lot of oil or butter, then serving them with white toast or a biscuit, is a combination that can push your blood sugar to 200 with frightening consistency. Not because the egg is bad, but because what you put around it is a mix of saturated fat and refined carbohydrates that temporarily block your insulin and spike your glucose at the same time. The right way to prepare eggs is much simpler than you think. Scrambled eggs in a nonstick pan, without a single drop of oil, are perfect. The egg has enough of its own fat to keep it from sticking. Beat them lightly, pour them into a warm pan over medium heat, and move them gently for 2 to 3 minutes until they are cooked but still soft and creamy. You can also boil them, which is the simplest and most practical option. Put them in cold water, bring it to a boil, and leave them for 10 minutes for a firm yolk, or 6 minutes if you prefer it a little softer. You can prepare them the night before and keep them ready in the refrigerator. A veggie-loaded omelet is another wonderful option. Beat 2 eggs, then in your nonstick pan with no oil, add fresh spinach, tomato, onion, mushrooms, or whatever vegetables you have on hand. The vegetables add extra fiber that boosts the blood sugar slowing effect even further, and they add volume, so you feel satisfied without adding more carbohydrates. Tell me in the comments how you usually prepare your eggs. I love knowing where people are starting from, so I can give you more specific advice for your own situation. Now, what has the most influence on your blood sugar is not just how you prepare the egg, it's what you eat alongside it. Avocado is the ideal companion for eggs when you have diabetes. The healthy fat in avocado doesn't spike your blood sugar. It slows digestion and keeps everything more stable. Spinach provides magnesium, a mineral that many people with diabetes have in low levels, and that plays an important role in insulin sensitivity. Tomatoes, bell peppers, and mushrooms are all perfect allies because they are high in fiber and very low in carbohydrates. This combination, 2 eggs prepared without oil, half an avocado, and a generous portion of vegetables, can keep your blood sugar stable for 4 to 5 hours. That means you arrive at lunch without that desperate hunger, without those sugar cravings that are so hard to resist when your blood sugar has crashed. Don't go anywhere, because what comes next is something very few people know, and it can make an enormous difference in your morning numbers. Most people only think of eggs as a breakfast food. And yes, breakfast is the most powerful time to eat them because it stabilizes your blood sugar from the very start of the day and puts a ceiling on the spikes that would happen if you ate only carbohydrates in the morning. But eggs at dinner have a benefit that surprises almost every patient I tell it to. When you eat quality protein at dinner instead of carbohydrates, something important happens overnight. Your liver, which normally releases glucose continuously while you sleep, does so in a more moderate and controlled way. This can result in a lower fasting blood sugar the next morning. This shift has been observed to represent a difference of 15 to 20 points on your fasting glucose for some people. Imagine waking up tomorrow and seeing that lower number on your glucometer, not because you took an extra medication, but because you had 2 eggs with vegetables for dinner instead of white rice or a dinner roll. And here is what nobody tells you about the most common mistakes people with diabetes make when trying to eat eggs the healthy way. The first mistake is frying them, even in a little olive oil, thinking that since it's olive oil it must be fine. Olive oil is wonderful cold, drizzled over a salad. But when you heat it to a high temperature for frying, it loses some of its properties and adds calories and unnecessary fat that your body doesn't need when the egg already carries its own natural fat. The second mistake is serving them with a glass of fresh squeezed orange juice. Many people believe that natural juice is healthy and nothing like the kind that comes in a bottle. But for a person with diabetes, natural juice, even from a fresh squeezed fruit, is liquid sugar with no fiber, and it enters your blood fast. A whole orange with its fiber is a much better option than the juice. The third mistake is adding processed cheese or deli meats like ham or sausage. Processed cheese and deli meats are high in sodium and additives that are not good for your blood pressure or your general health. If you want to add cheese, choose a small amount of cottage cheese or a light fresh cheese in moderate portions. I need to tell you about Mr. Robert because his story illustrates perfectly how these small changes can transform someone's numbers. Mr. Robert is 58 years old. He came to my office 7 months ago with an expression of resignation that caught my attention right away. He was a quiet man, a man of few words. He set his lab results on the desk without saying anything and looked at me, waiting for me to speak first. His A1C was 8.6%. His fasting blood sugar averaged 178. He had been living with type 2 diabetes for 5 years and had been taking metformin for 3. He told me he ate the same breakfast every single day. 2 eggs fried in oil with refried beans and 3 slices of white toast. He believed he was eating well because he included eggs and beans, which are protein. But the problem was the preparation and the combination. The oil for frying the eggs, the fat in the refried beans, and the toast together formed that problematic combination that was spiking his blood sugar every morning. I suggested one specific, concrete change. Instead of frying the eggs, he would make them boiled or scrambled without oil. Instead of refried beans, he would have regular cooked beans with less added fat. Instead of 3 slices of white toast, he would have 1 slice of whole grain bread and add fresh vegetables to fill out the plate. That was the only change we made at first. 3 weeks later, Mr. Robert came in for his next visit. And for the first time since I had met him, he gave a small but genuine smile. "Dr. Cole, my morning numbers are between 145 and 155. They never used to go below 170. I didn't change anything else. Just what you told me about breakfast." At 4 months, his A1C had come down to 7.8%. His primary care doctor asked him what he had done differently, and Mr. Robert answered with that straightforward manner that was just who he was. "I changed how I prepare my eggs, doctor." That was it. Now, I want to give you something concrete and practical that you can start using from tomorrow morning without memorizing anything complicated. The ideal breakfast for a person with diabetes who wants to use the power of eggs looks like this: 2 eggs scrambled without oil in a nonstick pan, or 2 boiled eggs, served with half a ripe avocado and a generous portion of vegetables like spinach, tomato, or bell pepper. If you feel like you need something more, you can add 1 small slice of real whole grain bread. One that has visible seeds and is dense and firm, not soft and fluffy. But eat it after the eggs, not before. If you start with the bread, your blood sugar spikes before the protein has a chance to do its breaking work. If you start with the eggs, the protein is already working by the time the carbohydrate from the bread arrives, and the impact on your blood sugar is much smaller. For mid-morning, if you get hungry before lunch, 1 boiled egg prepared the night before with a small handful of walnuts or almonds is a combination that barely moves your blood sugar at all. It holds you steady until your next meal without cravings. For dinner, if you want to take advantage of that fasting blood sugar benefit I mentioned, a 2-egg vegetable omelet with no bread is a light, nourishing, and powerful dinner for your numbers the next morning. And this part coming up is very important. Please don't skip over it. If you take metformin, eggs do not interfere with your medication in any way. You can eat them without worry. If you take insulin, it is important to talk with your doctor when you start switching to a high-protein breakfast. Because protein can make your insulin work better, and your numbers may come down more than expected. That is not a bad thing in itself, but your doctor needs to know so they can make any necessary adjustments to your dose if needed. Always keep your personal doctor informed of any changes you make to your diet, especially when you are taking medication. Communication with your medical team is a fundamental part of good control. One more thing I want you to know, because it's a question I get constantly. Egg quality matters, but it doesn't have to be perfect for you to get the benefits. Organic, pasture-raised eggs have higher levels of omega-3 and vitamin D compared to conventional eggs. If you have access to them and they fit your budget, they are an excellent choice. But if organic eggs are not in your budget or not easy to find at your local grocery store, regular supermarket eggs are still an extraordinarily nutritious and beneficial food. Do not stop eating eggs because you cannot buy the organic version. The benefit of including them correctly in your diet far outweighs the difference between organic and conventional. I want you to leave this video with one thing crystal clear. The egg is not your enemy. It never was. What may have been working against you, without you knowing it, was the way you were preparing it and what you were eating alongside it. When you change that, when you start making your eggs without oil, when you pair them with avocado and vegetables instead of white toast and processed meats, when you include them not just at breakfast, but also as an option at dinner, you're giving your body a real and powerful tool to stabilize your blood sugar in a way that no pill can do on its own. Miss Dorothy said it to me in the most beautiful way at her last visit. "Dr. Cole, I thought controlling diabetes was a war I was never going to win. And it turns out that part of the solution was in my refrigerator the whole time. I just needed to know how to use it. That is exactly what I want for you. I want the right information to give you back control. I want you to open your refrigerator every morning, see those eggs, and look at them not with fear, but with the confidence of knowing you are going to use them to your advantage." Please remember that this video is for informational and educational purposes only. Always talk with your personal doctor before making any changes to your diet or your treatment, because every person is different, and what works for most people may need to be adjusted for your specific situation. If this video opened your eyes, if you feel like someone finally explained something about eggs and diabetes in a way that truly makes sense, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel right now. Every week, I share information like this, designed specifically to help you live better with diabetes. Real data, no false promises, no unnecessary complications. Give this video a like if it helped you, and share it with someone you know who needs to hear this today. That simple act can change someone's numbers. Someone you love. Tell me in the comments what change you are going to make first in the way you prepare your eggs. I love reading your responses, and knowing this information is reaching the people who need it most. Your body can respond better than you think. When you give it the right information to work with, give it that chance. I'll see you very soon in the next video. Take good care of yourself.